So I want to tell you today about using your imagination and why using your imagination is the key to get you to where you want to go in life. So your imagination is built upon your relationship with the spiritual world and with your physical world. And what we have to understand is that, our minds are connected. When we talked about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is what we often will refer to as the universal mind. And we can actually connect with others through our universal minds. It's really funny. The other day, I had gotten a message on my phone, and it was a message about calling this person back because I had to change an appointment. And so I didn't have time that day to deal with it. I kind of glanced at the message and thought, okay, I'll deal with this later. And so the next day I was doing some work, and all of a sudden I thought, okay, I need to call them back. At that very moment that I was ready to pick up my phone and call this business back, my phone was ringing and it was them. And it was so funny. I was just ready to call you. You see, what happened there was the thought was in my mind, I got to call them back. And the thought was in their mind, they got to call me back because they hadn't heard from me in 24 hours or whatever. And so they were calling me. At the very moment my phone rang, I just was ready to pick my phone up and call them. You see, that's how the universal minds connect. And I bet that's happened to you. That's not the first time that's happened to me. I can remember times when I was thinking of a friend and thinking I should call them, and the phone rings and it's them. You see, that's how our minds are actually connected. There are inventors. Thomas Edison, perfect one. When he'd get really stumped on an invention, he would just take a short cat nap, 10, 20 minutes, and he would just sit there and think about the problem and just rest. And a lot of times when, he came out of that little cat nap, he had the solution to what he was looking for. Or at least he had a possible answer to move forward with whatever experiment he had. And it's amazing how those minds connect. I read another story one time. This man was looking at a fossil, but it wasn't completed. And he wasn't sure what it was, a fish, and he wasn't sure what this prehistoric fish actually looked like. And so he drew out part of it, and he was thinking about it as he went to sleep one night. And in the middle of the night, this vision came to him as to what the rest of the fossil should look like. And when he woke up, he tried to draw it, but he couldn't. He couldn't figure out what it was. And so then, the next night he did the same thing. He was thinking about it. And when he woke up, he had a vision of what it looked like. And he tried to draw, but he couldn't figure it quite out. Well, then the third night, he decided to put a piece of paper beside his nightstand so that when he thought of this fish, he could draw it. And so that's what he did. In the middle of the night, he woke up again, he drew this fish. And when he got up in the morning, he saw the paper. He totally was unconscious that he was doing that in the middle of the night, but he saw the vision of what the fossil should look like, and he was able to find it then. You see, that's the connection of the universal mind, giving him that kind of information. So we never quite know, what's going to come to us and how we can utilize that information. You see, if you just live through your senses and you don't use your imagination, or you don't use any of those 6 intellectual faculties, your life is going to be much different than if you actually do utilize those intellectual faculties. So what we have to realize is that the whole world operates by laws. And you see, those laws work the same for you as they do for me, as they do for anybody. And so one of the things we have to do when we use our imagination is to build that beautiful picture. So if you're thinking about how can I have a bigger life than what I currently have right now, let's talk